Hey Jeff, welcome to GAC RMHC Golf Classic. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through. We'll put you back in your dress position and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup, let's take a look at your posture. So your spine's nice and straight and on a slight tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and the golf club works out to the ball. So you're achieving really good posture here in association with really good balance. Looks great. Let's go ahead and also take a look at your alignment. We can see that your feet are set up open. Theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel. Your feet parallel lines on camera would have an appearance of converging. So if we actually carried your foot alignment out in this direction of the fairway and then drew our parallel lines, we can definitely see that we're set up considerably open out towards the pond that was over here on the right side of the screen. So you're probably very accustomed to starting the golf ball out to the right somewhere based on where you're aimed, and then you're probably used to leaving the face open with an out to in swing path, and you'll hit some form of a fade that will come back on line. And we know this also, not only are your feet going to the right, but so are your knees, your hips, your forearms, and your shoulders. So you're going to have to swing this golf club from an out to in path. Then you're also going to have to compensate by leaving the face open so we can fade and get that ball back towards its target. Let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Jordan Spieth. We'll flip them over to the left-handed. We can see some color-coded lines on the screen here just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. Now with Jordan, as he initiates his takeaway, creates good shoulder rotation, bringing the arms and hands back as well as the golf club. And actually, before we let that continue further back, let's just pay attention to the feet and knees, the hips, the forearms, and the shoulders, just to see how much more square he is. Okay? Now, as he continues to bring that golf club back, we want to see this golf club coming back directly along the red line, meaning the club is swinging back on a proper plane. Also, through the early stages of the golf swing, we want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play, which means we got to transition the club head from being currently below and in front of our hands to now moving above and behind. And that's exactly what we see here, all the while keeping the club on plane. From here, we now want to work the golf club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want to have the golf club either right arm and club situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between that blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to have full shoulder rotation, and we want to do this about a very stable left leg, all the while maintaining our posture and spinal axis that we achieved at address. Let's go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway here. You draw your hands back very nicely around into the inside, which is typically uncommon for people that set up open. Usually we'll see the club move to the outside. So this is a nice correction because I'd rather see a golf club move inside than outside. As we continue to move this golf club back, hopefully we start to see some wrist hinge into play, which we do. This is superb right here. And let's work this golf club right to the top and see where you set everything. When you finally get to the top of the backswing, excellent position. You've turned your shoulders really nicely. You got your arms in good geometric relationship relative to the core. The right arm and the golf club are situated right on that yellow line and very stable left side. So this is an excellent set position from you. As we create our transition back into the ball, simply want to move our weight from our left foot to our right, fire our knees and our hips to the target, unwind our core, and fire our hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure that we're bringing the golf club from wherever we set it within that blue-yellow V zone, that we're returning the golf club back to red. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. We see the golf club returning back to being on plane. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the check mark position. Simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind our hands coming into the hitting zone, and this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone also his ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact, as already mentioned, the club has returned back to plane. This being a main criteria in order to produce straight golf shots. Let's watch you create your transition back into the ball here. Excellent dropping of your hands and arms. This is great. Golf club's going from yellow, starting to return back to red. And let's take a look at this position right here. So at this point in time, here's your lead form, here's your golf club. You have your backwards check mark. So creating some power in your golf swing is not going to be an issue. The only problem is the golf club is not returning fully back to plane, as we see with Jordan Spieth over here. The other thing we can see with Jordan is that his golf club is simply going to come into the golf ball directly from this red line, so directly from on plane. And as I previously stated, this is what allows us to produce straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, lastly assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. In your case, if we continue to track the club head coming into the ball, we're going to watch the club maybe move just a little bit out in front of you here, and it does. Okay, so the club is coming at the ball a little bit steep, and therefore it's going to be attacking the ball a little bit from outside to inside, as anticipated due to your setup being open, as previously stated, right from the get-go. And knowing or seeing that these descending planes are just slightly different, we can also see that the paths are slightly different. So his club's approaching the ball from the inside, expanding out to make contact, club face squaring up, club moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. So he's going to hit a straight golf shot in accordance to his alignment, because the club came down on plane and the club face squared up. With you, your club face is slightly outside the ball, dropping down and across so we can see the path of the club. Very simply put, if the club face squares up to this path, obviously we're going to hit the ball somewhat in that direction. Well, that direction was the exact same direction as where you're aimed. So at this point in time, if you leave that club face a little bit open, the nice thing is that ball will fade back towards its intended target. Okay? If we happen to over-release the club relative to the path, unfortunately the ball will stay in this direction, and we'll also have maybe a little bit of a pull draw or pull hook, and we'll lose that ball right. If we leave that club face a little bit open, we'll block that ball even a little bit further left, and we'll produce even more right to left spin, and that ball is going to go even a little bit further left. So the end result of the golf shot is solely dictated based on the timing of the club face. If we square the face to the path, it follows yellow. Leave it a hair open, continues down those little yellow arrows, we hit a nice fade that finds the intended target. If we don't time it properly and we over-release it, it's going to follow red. If we under-release it, it's going to follow blue, and we may lose the ball just a little bit left. So let's go ahead and take a look as we come through the golf ball. I just want to take a look and see what your club face actually did. Looked like the club face remained a little bit open there, and we definitely see the ball heading out in the direction of where you're aimed and where you're swinging. But because that club face is a little bit open, very likely that ball is going to start fading back, and hopefully it fades back just enough so that we miss the water on the right and everything turns out. As you carry yourself through to a really good finishing position. Looks terrific. Got some really nice athleticism here in your golf swing. Your hands work really well. They come back, they fire through. Your body, your shoulders turn, you coil, you uncoil, and you got great motion through to the finishing position. Looks really good. And you understand your golf swing excellent, knowing that you have to set up a little bit right. Therefore, you're attacking the ball just ever so slightly from over the top out to in, leaving that face open and playing hopefully this fade all day long. And like I said, if the timing's on, you're going to hit great golf shots. If the timing's a little off and the club face over releases, you will find you miss golf shots to the right. If you leave that club face a little too open, you find you miss golf shots a little bit left. But when you time it perfectly, for sure, you're going to hit some really great golf shots. Okay? Anyways, great job. Hope you had a fabulous day, and hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video.